All right, so let me pull up Ruth, and I'm gonna start at the end of Ruth, and then we're going to hop forward to the beginning. Um, Most times when people look at the story of Ruth, they more so look at this Moabite person, the experiences that she had, and how she was able to find somebody. And a lot of people talk about it from the perspective of a person who was not a Jew being grafted into this Jewish custom and being part of the lineage in which Jesus comes from, right? Being the grandmother of King David, who was the one who defeated Goliath and had this great feat. But what was shared with me with Anne-Marie when she went to a seminar, and then as I started to read it, I started to look at the perspective of the mother. The woman said unto Naomi, Blessed be the Lord, which had not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and nourisher of thine old age. For thy daughter in law, which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons, have borne him. And Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom and became nurse onto it. So who did it? It said Naomi. All right. Verse 17, the woman, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, There is a son born unto Naomi. And they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. All right. So now I'm starting at this section here to give indication of how it ends. This is going to help us give context as we're reading through Ruth chapter 1. And what we see here is that it ends in a beautiful scenario. Older woman from a daughter that she loves has a child, and this child has a child which becomes the king of Israel. Such greatness in Israel that Israel grew in territory, and David became a king, which was known as the man after God's own heart. As we've read here, we need to get context of what she went through, what she's gone through in her life. Chapter 1 will be focusing on how to see and deal with grief. Naomi, there was a drought in the land where they were in Israel. They go to a neighboring land, which was Moab. And then in Moab, they go and take, it's her husband, and her 2 boys. Now, being there, her husband now take 2 wives of women of Moab. The name of one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth, and they dwelt there about 10 years. So we see that, from a situation of famine comes now a long time residency. Sometimes situations supposed to be temporary are temporary, but we don't make those movements until things get uncomfortable again. And the name of the men was Emelech, and the name of his wife Naomi, and the name of the 2 sons Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrates of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came into the country of Moab, and they continued there. And Emelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left, and her 2 sons. And the 2 wives of the women of Moab, the name of one was Orpah, the name of the other was Ruth, and they dwelt there about 10 years. And Melhan and Chilion died also, both of them. And the woman was left of her 2 sons and her husband. Right? So we see the grief. We can imagine what Naomi's going through at this particular stage, losing both of her sons, what that was like. And let's keep reading and see what it says. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab how that the Lord had visited his people, giving them bread. Right? So now she's a widow. She's hearing back home that, things are prospering. They're able to grow again. There's no more famine. Wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her two daughter-in-laws with her, and they went on the way to return unto the land of Judah. And Naomi said unto her two daughters-in-law, Go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. Meaning, may the Lord deal with you as greatly as you've dealt with my children, who they were wives to, and how they have dealt with her. Right? So now she sent them away. Remember, it indicated at first that they were willing to go with her. Right? They all were on that journey, but now she's starting to push them away, and she'll later explain why. Right? The Lord grant you that ye may find rest, each of you, in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. Right? And they said unto her, Surely we will return with thee unto thy people. And Naomi said, Turn again, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters. Go your way, for I am too old to have an husband. If I should say I have hope, if I should have a husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would you tarry for them till they are grown? Would ye stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieved me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. So we see how she's dealing with the situation. She's trying to send them away. She's saying, hey, listen, I'm a hopeless situation. There's no hope here. I'm super old. It's not like I'm gonna be able to give you any children. Look, y'all young. Y'all go ahead. Y'all go back to y'all fathers. Y'all go back to y'all land. Y'all go back to Moab. Do your thing. I'm just gonna go back to Israel, right? And I have nothing to give you because for it grieved me much for my sake, because the hand of the Lord is going out against me, right? She's feeling a particular way. Her husband died. Her sons died also. She's feeling like the Lord has abandoned her. She's feeling like all hope is lost. She's feeling like there's nothing else left for her. And she's going through the stages of grief, right? Matter of fact, let me actually pull up the stages of grief. The stage that she's in right now is definitely in the depression stage. Some say 7 and some say 5 is denial. Then anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And when you're in the stage of depression, one of the things you start to do is you start to isolate. You start to feel abandoned. You start to feel alone. And she's feeling this way, even though the reality of the matter is not. Now, we read the end, so we know how it ends. It ends in her being blessed. It ends with her having a little one that they don't even say, hey, that's Ruth's daughter. That's Ruth baby. Now they say, no, Naomi, that's your baby. You know how it is, y'all grandmas. Y'all know how y'all know how y'all be. Y'all take the show, right? I mean, it's a personal hedge that holds on to the heart. And we see here at this moment, she doesn't know what God actually has planned for her. She doesn't know what she has aligned. Not only would there be a blessing, but through her choice, her lineage, and through her daughters, she's going to be a blessing not only to her, but to all of Israel. But before we get through there, sometimes God allows us to go through certain situations in which it's uncomfortable, in which it is saddened, in which it doesn't feel good, in which you may feel abandoned. But instead of seeing how you feel check the reality. And what I've been realizing with God, and He's been really revealing with me, and as well as with some of the lessons I share, is I'm learning to trust the process. There are going to be certain things that are uncomfortable in our lives at times, things we don't want to go through. We don't know that the wages of sin is death, and we're living in a world that's filled of sin, and as a result, there are actions and consequences that occurs. But in Romans 8:28, it says all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and for the accordance of His will. We don't have God's infinite knowledge and intelligence, right? But we have to trust that He loves us and that He's working out something beyond what we can comprehend, so that when we're in uncomfortable, saddened, not good feeling situations, that we're gonna trust Him even though it doesn't feel good. Here's what I learned. Here's three notes as we continue to read. One, I'm going to go to 14. And they lift up their voices. So she rejected him. She said, hey, God has left me or abandoned me. She's feeling her sentiment and grief. And she told him, listen, go back to your family, go away. And it says, and they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth claved onto her. Right? And what was so amazing about this section here is remember how she stipulated it. She said, hey, I'm old. I can't give you no kids. And even if I was able to get a man in my old age and by miraculously have a baby, you going to wait 18 years, 14 years, 12, you know what I mean, before you get a new husband? Failing to realize that even though she's old and she may feel that her womb is barren, God is giving her two women who are young, who are youthful, and who can be able to provide that restoration, right? Not fully completed, because no one person can fully take over for another, but can work towards having that whole fill, work towards having that void, work towards having that restoration. She failed to realize that God has given her two. She failed to realize in her state that God is segueing another blessing for her. And as a result, she kisses one kisses and says, you know what? I don't want to go through this, but I will. Right? I'll see you, Mom. Genesis chapter 19. We have the beginning of where the Moabites is founded. Lot was in an area called Sodom and Gomorrah. It was a very, very, very terrible place. And as a result, he was there. His kids absorbed the practices. They made it out because judgment came upon Sodom and Gomorrah, but his daughters kept that practices, right? It's Genesis 19. You can read it for yourself. They get their father drunk. They sleep with their father, and then they have children. And one of the children was Moab. Now, the same practices that was in Sodom and Gomorrah actually runs over into Moab, the region that the Moabites live, because their father picked up the practice. And one of the things that they used to do was children sacrifice. There were other, heathenistic ritual practices that were seen as abominations that they picked up. Now, they migrated. Naomi, her husband, her two sons migrated because there was food there. But as they were food there, they became a witness. And as they became a witness, right, these two women came to love the Lord that Naomi served, which is the one true God that we serve, that she came to love their practices, their actions, right? So because she's feeling abandoned, she's now sending the kids back into a custom and a lifestyle, back into a home where darkness, despair, and love doesn't supremely reign, because we know that God is love. And once we have his practices in our heart, that it exudes out by our actions. And what we see here is sometimes in our griefs, God is still calling us to muster and move forward, to share, to give that love, to give that support while we're grieving. And also simultaneously, as we're helping them, God is also paving a way for us to be a blessing in that component. Now, as we understand that Orpah leaves, Now here's what Naomi says. And she says, behold, thy sister-in-law has gone onto her people and onto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. Hey, follow the path. They go the path your sister went, go follow it, go back home. And Ruth says, entreat me not to leave thee, nor return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go. Where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God shall be my God. This is the practice that she knew that was there from before when they were in Moab. She's seen it. She lived it. And Ruth is like, man, Naomi, mom, I'm not going back. Whatever you're going through, I'm going to ride it out with you. Whatever you're experiencing, I'm going to experience. And the God that you serve is going to be my God. Now, she knows historically that there's tension between the children of Israel and the Moabites because of the practices that they have, but that experience of the one true God and the experience of love that she felt from Naomi, and Naomi's personality, and we're gonna get into that into the next chapter. Matter of fact, we'll actually see it here. She's like, man, I know that you have the truth, you have the way. I've seen the love. I know you're going through this tough part, but I'll go wherever you go, even if that means I'm going to experience hardships for the rest of our lives. And when I read through the story, and I remember Emery talking about it too, we see here that even though she feels alone, God is not leaving her alone. And all of that love that she gave and invested into these people, wants to trying to give that love back. And sometimes when we're feeling alone because we're in our feelings, in our situation, in our grief, we don't realize keenly that God is hooking us up, that God is setting us up. And the last thing I'll say, because I don't want to be over repetitive, is we've seen that the blessing that Naomi received at the end, and we know, man, if she would have let both of them go, how big would her blessing have been, right? How many kids would she have been able to have? How much restoration she would have been able to have? Love she would have been able to have? Support she would have been able to have? And I'm so grateful because sometimes we make mistakes where we're in our feelings and we make bad choices, and as a result, it's like, man, I could have had, follow. I'm using an example, but let's say, man, if I'd have made certain other moves, I could have had me 4 homes. I mean, I could have been East Coast, West Coast, North, South. I could have been had me some options, right? But instead of focusing on what was lost, I'm just so grateful that even though we may put away some of our blessing, God does not have us put away all of it. I'm so grateful that he allowed Ruth to say, I'm going to ride it out with you no matter what, so that she don't really have to have that hard of a life. And we'll read into the life that she had when she went back home. And not only did I feel sad about what she lost, I was grateful that sometimes God doesn't let us go, like Ruth is saying, hey, we ride or die, right? So now with that being the case, now with us moving forward, now with Ruth saying, I'm not going, she even says, where thou die, I will die. And there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if I ought but death part thee and me. So he's like, whatever you're doing, I'm going to be with you. If by any chance I die, only way this is not going to happen is if I die before you, right? But even where you go, I'm going to go. So I thank God that he gives us people that ride or die, and that he put people in our in our path to help us in a time of need. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's not, but we're grateful that God sends people to help see us through. 18, when she saw that she was steadfastly minded, I mean, she was stubborn, I ain't going nowhere, to go with her, then she left, speaking onto her. So she's like, all right, it ain't going to win. Let's move forward. We're going to push together. So they went until they came to Bethlehem. And it came to pass when they were come to Bethlehem that all the city was moved. Like, did you just peep that? It said all the city was moved about them, and they said, "Is this Naomi?" And she said unto them, "Don't call me Naomi, girl. Call me Mar, for the Almighty have dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord had brought me home again empty. When they call ye me Naomi, seeing the Lord hath testified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me. And here, we hear two things that moved me, and it was she comes back home. Now, we read that she wasn't home for 10 years, right? It's been a hot minute. And when she comes home, you see all of the town where she was at was happy to see her. They were ecstatic. The Bible says, if you want friends, this is Proverbs. For him who want friends, you must be friendly. And it's not about, campaigning, but it shows that when you're nice and when you give love and when you help and when you provide charity is just love in action. When people see your action and your love, right? So I'll use some examples, right? My mom, as she goes out and giving, food and things of that sort to the community, trying to make sure that the programs that are available is assimilated onto them. Mona, when you're there supporting individuals, not only in the aspect of what you were doing in work, but your biggest thing has always been acts of service. If there's ever a situation or a need, we know without doubt that you're an individual you can call. And then you do little things to show your love, right? Outside of the occasional check-in, making your home always available. Look, I roll up in your house, what was it like 12 o'clock midnight one night or something like that? And you was like, boy, I'm tired. What you doing here? You're like, all right, come on in. You crazy, boy. You come on in. What you want? I got some cake. You want some cake? I know you like to eat. I see you. Right? Or like, in the holidays and even non-holidays, you going shopping and saying, you know what, this will look good for so-and-so. This will look good for so-and-so. This will look good for Naquan. And, motivating me by giving me them shirts and them pants, just one size a little tight. Kind of motivating me, just take a little bit off. Just take a little bit off. Right. But when you show that love, whenever you're around, it's greatly appreciated. And even though everybody is happy to see her, and it wasn't until this line here that it resonated what her particular state was, how she particularly felt, even though we read it earlier, but it wasn't until here that we see, man, she's really going through it. She really feel like God has left her. She really feel like she's been abandoned. And I can understand. I mean, it's hard enough to lose your husband. It's hard enough to lose a child, but to lose a husband and two, it's like, oh my goodness, right? And now to go home, and then, when you look at the historical context of being a widow and then being an old widow, it was the responsibility of the family to take care of that person. So the next two who were next in line are no longer there to care for her, right? So she now has to be a beggar and a pauper. She has real estate because she left land, but it's still something that's going to be hard for her to particularly do. And once again, even when we feel like God has abandoned us, it's so grateful that he gave her a daughter, right? That's not from her blood, but is moving tight like blood. And this is the state of depression and an honest state of what grief particularly looks like, right? And she relays this to everybody, and then it indicates here. So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab. And they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of the barley harvest, right? So the crop is grown. We're getting the time frame. We're getting the season. Now we're going to go to Ruth chapter 2. And I promise the other chapters are not going to be too long, but just know chapter 1 is in reference of grief. Chapter 2 is your name preceding you, right? Because so we see this context here. She's famous, right? And what I mean by famous, it's just that means she's well known, a loving, a compassionate person, somebody who was a joy to have conversations with. Matter of fact, I'll do all the two. One who had enjoyed having good conversations with, a compassionate person. She was a delight for everybody to see. Now, when they see her, she's coming home bitter, right? She's coming home feeling a particular way. Dear Heavenly Father, as we go into Ruth chapter 2, I pray that you'll continue to bless and see us through. As we go through this, I pray that you will reveal what was revealed to me. And if there's anything that the family in reading gets from it as well, please help them to feel free to share as we have this cipher together with you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Now we go through genealogy of family. And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband, a mighty man of wealth, the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. Now remember, we read a little bit about Boaz in chapter 4, right? So we see God aligning things up. Now we see it because we read it. This is historical story of a particular family which is going through the genealogy of a king, a snapshot in something that's not normal, but that's particularly took place. So her husband was doing all right. Her sons were inheriting all right. She comes back home and her kin, he's like stacked. He's like stacked and he's wealthy. We know that in Bethlehem, Naomi name ring bell, right? She's well known due to her acts of service, and she's known in the community. I'll leave it like that. She's known in her social network. Now we come into a layup of who she knows through genealogy. And Ruth the Moabitess said unto Naomi, let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him, in whose sight I shall find grace. And she said unto her, go, my daughter. And she went, and she came and gleaned in the field after the reapers. No, Ruth and Naomi there, they don't have anything set up, right? Because they haven't been there for a while. Remember, she's old. Naomi is old. So once again, thanking God that he didn't put her to the side, because this woman is going to now help her bring in some food so that she could be able to eat, right? So she went to the field. She came to glean in the field after following behind the reapers. And her hap was to light on a part of the field belonging to Boaz, right? Who was the kindred of Elimelech, right? So here comes the setup. She just so happened, right? You know what I mean? It's a coincidence. Nah, it's not, but it's God working it out. And behold, Boaz just so happened. Look, it's a coincidence, right? Bethlehem, Boaz came from Bethlehem, right? Major city area, and said unto the reapers, the Lord be with you. And they answered him, the Lord bless thee, right? So he's greeting his men, his servants is greeting him. All right, the Lord bless you. Then said Boaz unto his servant that was set over the reapers, who she, right? Who damsel is this, right? And the servant that was set over the reapers answered and said, it is the Moabitish damsel that came back with Naomi out of the country of Moab. And she said, I pray you, let me glean after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and hath continued even from the morning until now, that she tarry a little in the house. And then said Boaz unto Ruth, hearest thou not, my daughter? Go not glean any other field, neither go from hence, but abide here steadfast by my maidens. So he's like, hey, listen, you straight. You don't got to go nowhere, right? Because remember, she just so happened to glean on his territory. She was looking for anywhere she can get. So now, Naomi, she's aware, Boaz is aware because they're kin, they're family. And now he's hearing, there's this lady that left Moab to come to here, and they know that they have static with each other, but she's doing this to go look out for, let's say it's my auntie, right? She doing this to go look out for my auntie. Man, listen, don't go nowhere. You don't got to glean in no other field. You see all these other women that come here traditionally to glean from me. You abide there. I mean, you ain't got to worry about it. And then the thing that he hears is that he hear that it's not like she's haphazardly coming, but if she's coming from morning and the morning is like sunrise morning, right? And she's staying there the whole day, meaning that she's diligently trying to get whatever scraps she can so that her and her mother can eat. right? So he sees that she's not an idle person. He sees that she's diligent. He sees that she has integrity. And he sees that she's affiliated with somebody that's been known to be good, proper, and upstanding in the community. Peep build up, right? Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go thou after them. Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch thee? Right? They're not pushing you aside or telling you to go away, which some people do. Sometimes certain servants will look out for their field or for their territory, people in their territory, people in their community only. And definitely if you were from another nation, right, you would be treated like a third tier citizen, right? But he's saying, no, look, you see everybody's taking care of you. Nobody's telling you to go away. So he's just encouraging her that she can stay. And when thou art athirst, go unto the vessels and drink of that which the young men have drawn. So now he's offering her the ability to be able to get water. Remember, she's there from sunrise for the whole day. You know what I mean? And now he said, look, you can actually get some water too, which I can imagine an individual being thirsty for. Then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said unto him, Why have I found grace in thy eyes, that thou should take knowledge of me, seeing that I'm a stranger? So question, but also superbly grateful. And bro, there's an analogy I can go into that one within itself. A couple of them. I'm just restating myself. I want to just keep on the context of what we're reading. And Boaz answered and said unto her, but we see that she's very humbled. She's very grateful, and she shows great appreciation. And I'll probably set it up for foundation later. But for those who have a humbling spirit, those who have great work ethics, those who are relatable, and those individuals who are not prideful will climb and can be great agents that God uses. And that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about the humility of him and the loving and compassion for him, but also her work ethics and her humility and her love and compassion for her family. That she's even gracious for it. And Boaz answered and said unto her, It hath fully been showed to me that thou hast done unto, what he says, thy mother-in-law, since the death of thine husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother and the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knewest not heretofore. The Lord recompense thy work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust. Family, when we serve God, when we have a spirit of humility, when we're willing to do things that may make us uncomfortable for love, it does not go unnoted. Not only does it not go unnoted in our communities or people who hear the story or who hear the testimonies that are given, but it doesn't go unnoticed by God, right? He's acknowledging, this God-fearing man is acknowledging and seeing her story, hearing her testimony, hearing her struggle, looking at the sacrifice that she's making for a old person where there is no keen benefit, as Naomi has clearly indicated, right? Where a person may be seeing this to be crazy and to be sacrificing their whole livelihood, right? Because once again, the static between Israel and Moab is real, and no men would want to take a third tier woman, especially anybody in the region that Naomi is from, who's choosing to be prestigious, no matter how beautiful they are. And we'll get a reference of what that looks like in a few minutes, right? But when you do what you do because God is moving you to do so, and when you do what you do out of love, it's going to come back in ways that you don't anticipate. And what we're seeing here is first tier of God showing that they have made the right decision, and showing the God's favor on Ruth as well as on Naomi, as she is still going through her grieving. And remember, Ruth lost her husband as well. So she's going through the aspect of grieving as well. But Ruth's disposition is positive and outlooking because she comes to trust, to love her mother, and to know this God that her husband and her mom presented to her. Whereas the quote unquote Christian person that's been to church all the time and had this relationship for a long time is acting as if they never had a relationship with God in the first place. And God uses these two people to be able to strengthen and sustain one another. Then she said, "Let me find favor in thy sight, my Lord, for thou hast comforted me, and for that thou hast spoken friendly unto thy handmaiden." Right? She's not boasting herself up. "Though I not be like unto one of thine handmaidens," right? "I'm so grateful you're treating me, the stranger, like I'm a native. I'm so appreciative for it." And Boaz said unto her at mealtime, "Come thou hither, and eat of the bread, and dip thy morsel in the vinegar." And she sat beside the reapers, and he reached her parched corn, and she did eat, and was sufficed, and left. And when she was risen up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, "Let her glean even among the sheaves." Right? So not just the lowest, but she can actually get sheaves of grain. "And reproach her not. And let fall also some of the handfuls of purpose for her, and leave them that she may glean them, and rebuke her not." So not only did he say, all right, you can eat with us, but now he's making sure that she's taken care of. And this is probably going to, I'll segue that in the next chapter. So remember, this is just 4 chapters. Where we're at halfway mark, and the last chapter is going to go super quick. "So she gleaned in the field until evening, and begat, and beat out that she had gleaned. It was about an ephah of barley." So she took the harvest, and then after that, to get the grain off, they used to hit it, right? And an ephah is 2 1/3 liter. "And she took it up and went to the city, and her mother-in-law saw that she had gleaned, and she brought forth and gave to her that she had reserved after she was sufficed." So not only did she take and eat for herself, but she made sure that she had enough for Naomi to be taken care of too. Once again, that compassion that she was thinking about. And just think of the opportunity that God gives us, right? We do our part. We move out in faith, we try our best, and God will present opportunities, not knowing that it's going to come, but just moving in faith, doing your own thing. I remember when I was in school, and I remember how I got the job I got working in Brooklyn for FGC. And I remember it was actually Brenda that got me a setup. And I remember one of the things Brenda said was, when you were in college, and when Dre got into that incident, I was one of the youngest people that came to visit him in the hospital. Right? And as a result, she appreciated it. And when she heard I was graduating, she then went and said, "Hey, listen, I got somebody, you got a job, got to give them something." And she adamantly advocated for me. And a lot of the growth and things that occurred was due to God aligning that situation up. And like I said, I wasn't doing it because, hey, I'm going to be looking for a favor, but it was families down, let me try to do what I can, right? And a lot of paving the way with you just doing your hard work, doing your diligence, and being a loving and compassionate person. And it just reminds us that even when we're going through a loss or a set down, as long as we stay faithful, and even when we're not faithful, God still bless and provide, which we're grateful for. But as long as we do our part in being diligent, He will continue to see us through, and He will pave ways. And even with the low, He shows that He's paving a way to make it better. We just got to be faithful and keep the process. For Ruth at this point is, hey, I'm gonna work hard and work as diligent as I can. I'm gonna support my mother, who loved me so much and brought me into this lifestyle, brought me into her wings and her care. Now she's down. Let me take care of her. And as she's doing that, God is paving ways for her. Right? 5 more verses, and then we go into the new to chapter 3. And her mother-in-law said unto her, Where hast thou gleaned today? And where hast thou wrought thou? She wasn't expecting the volume, I presume, that she brought home. Blessed be that did take knowledge of thee. All right, because she knew, I guess she knew how much people who usually glean, they don't really bring home that much. Right? She's impressed. So she said, Be that did take knowledge unto thee. And she showed her mother-in-law with whom she had wrought, and said, The man name with whom I wrought today is Boaz. And Naomi said unto her daughter-in-law, Blessed be he of the Lord, who have not left off his kindness to the living and to the dead. And Naomi said unto her, The man is near of kin to us, one of our next kinsmen. And Ruth the Moabitess said, He said unto me also that thou shalt keep fast by my young men until they have ended all my harvest. Right? So she said, Hey, he said I can keep coming back. I can keep coming back even until it's all the way done. And Naomi said unto her daughter-in-law, It is good, my daughter, that thou go out with his maidens, that they meet thee not in any other field. So she's like, yeah, what he said is true. Just keep going, ride it out, stay there.
Naquan,
Yeah.
let me cut you for a second.
Yeah.
So Naomi didn't know that Boaz was family?
No, so Naomi is, Ruth didn't know. Naomi knew.
Ruth didn't know.
No, she didn't. And you see how God is setting it up? Now Boaz is aware because he's hearing this story about who she came with. And remember, when she came into town, everybody in town was like, "Oh snap, is that Naomi?" So
Right.
and she's saying she's sad. So then now you know how I go. You know how I go when you in a tight knit community and you come through. You know it's circulating. You understand what I'm saying? And then on top of that, she's now coming to the glen. They're like, "Oh, who are you?" And she's, for them to declare, they would say, of who family they're from. And in her case, she's saying Naomi, and then she's giving of who husband it was, what family it came from. And like, okay. So now she's coming home, right? Boaz not only found out what's going on, he calls her, tell her don't go nowhere, come sit down, eat with us. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, now she's going home and she's just telling mom the run of the day. First, she's coming with all of this leftovers. You know what I mean? And she's like, "Girl, where this come from? Girl, sit down, tell me what happened." And she's like, "Oh snap, Boaz? I mean, and it ain't too many Boaz in that region that got filled." And she's now schooling her to the game. I mean, like he can, whatever he tell you, you straight, like you legit straight. Once again, her mom gave her instruction. She was obedient, right? Honor your mother and father, your days may be long upon the earth. So she kept fast by the maids of Boaz to glean unto the end of barley harvest and of wheat harvest, and dwelt with her mother-in-law. Because remember, everybody had access to barley, but now he's saying not only give her the barley, but give her access to the wheat. He told her, follow behind my reapers. Be with the maidens. You can get what I get. So chapter 1 reminds me of God is setting up blessings when we're in times of hardships, for us to be mindful of it. Chapter 2 reminds me as if we move in love and move in his will and do it with a heart of compassion, even though it's uncomfortable, God will start to set up ways and pave opportunities for you to go where he wants you to go. Now, chapter 3 is what I call like taking older counsel, right? So we understand he says, mom says, hey, write it out. Now we're going to go to Ruth chapter 3. Dear Heavenly Father, as we go into Ruth chapter 3, I pray that what's being shared is cleared. I pray that as we go through this chapter, that it remind us of intergenerational interacting and the vital importance of receiving counsel from our family and receiving counsel from those who are older than us. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This is our prayer. Put your words in our mouth. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So, Ruth chapter 3, right? Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said unto her, my daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee? Now she like, I'm going to set you up. Now she's talking about setting rest. First she was like, the Lord departed. Now she like, peep game, right? Shall I not set rest for thee, that they may be for thee, that it may be well with thee? And now is not Boaz of our kindred, whose maiden thou wast? Behold, he gnaweth barley at 2 night in the threshing floor. Wash thyself therefore and anoint thee, and put thy raiment upon thee, and get thee down to the floor. But make not thyself known unto the man until he shall have done eating and drinking. Right? It gets interesting. Let's keep going. And it shall be when he lieth down that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie, and thou shalt go in and uncover his feet, and lay thee down, and he will tell thee what thou shalt do. And she said unto her, all that thou sayest unto me, I will do. Right? And I don't know if you realize what's happening. So I'm not going to read it again. I'm just going to repeat it, but I'll have the passages show up on the screen. Okay? So Naomi identifies that he's kin. He said that in the last chapter. And the fact that she's setting up that he's kin, Naomi is seeing that it's a potential that she may be able to get her daughter married again. Right? So Naomi sees a
With Boaz?
Yes, with Boaz.
Wow.
100%. What I really loved about this was the fact that, she now sees an opportunity. Once again, we talk about, look, how God laid it up. Now, we read in chapter 2, it just so happened that she was at this field, and it just so happened that Boaz came up to see how his investment is going. See the harvest, see how much he's collected, what's going on, how's it looking. They're like, yo, it's blessed, man. You blessed. Like, the field is on point. Like, we did good, right? And he runs into this lady. He hears about her character. He hears about, her story. He's in love with her personality.
Her steadfastness, her dedication.
100%.
All day from morning to night.
Yo, he's like, you know what? I love this about her. Let me take care of her. Now she comes home. She tells mom, and mom is like, oh, snap. You know what? He's kin to us. Like there may be opportunity. And that's look how she tell her. She said, now she talking like she's like peep game, right? Like, I'm gonna set you up. I mean, you come here, I'm gonna make sure everything is well with you. And then what does she tell her? Right? He's related, and and today is an event. Now there are certain old customs, and what Naomi is telling Ruth to do at this time to lay at his feet is saying that she's willing to submit herself to him, that she's willing to be a wife to him, if he is willing to accept. She's telling her to do. Remember what Naomi's fear was, which is a lot of parents' fears. I mean, if we're honest, she wants her to go back. She feel like God is not with her, and she feel like she has nothing that she can offer to Naomi.
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things she thought about was the ability for them to have a life, to be able to have a husband, for them to be able to have kids, for them to be able to
Children.
have legacy again.
Mm-hmm.
And now Naomi is peeping. Naomi is peeping that this is an opportunity to have that. Not
Right.
only, yeah, man, and not only that. Let's look at it. She sees that she sees that Ruth is coming home with abundance. So she knows that the amount that she's coming home with is more than what the average gleaner than what the average gleaner receives, right? She also sees that this man realized that, oh, she's a Moabitess, and that she's compassionate to me, and as a result of her, like you said, steadfastness, dedication, compassion, he gives her above and beyond. She sees she sees the character, and she sees that this guy is actually a really good catch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's looking out for her. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then when she sees that, and this was the thing that I go ahead.
No, no, I'm saying that he's like you said, he's giving her. He's very giving unto her.
100%. And
Yes.
she sees that, and she's like, "Yo, all right, I'm gonna set you up. He's related to us, and it's a possibility that you can actually marry him. This is how you're gonna approach it, right? You gonna get yourself together,
Once
right?
she's in the house. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Because look. She told her, hey, listen, all right. She said, wash your booty, right? She said, right. That's what it is right here. Verse 3, she said, anoint yourself, meaning to go put on some perfume, put on some oil, don't look
Right.
ashy,
Anointing.
right? Put on thy raiment. You may not got Louis Vuitton, but put on the best clothes we got.
Garments. Your garments.
Yeah,
Right.
man. I mean, and then go down to the floor, meaning go back to where he was. Find him discreet. Don't do it publicly. Don't embarrass him and embarrass yourself in case he say no. Do it at the end of the day and
Mm-hmm.
present yourself humbly before him. So check this out. So when thinking about this, right, how she's peeping game, she analyzed his character, she paved an opportunity, and then she gives her daughter instructions. What came to mind was Titus chapter 2, right? And it says, teach women likewise that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wines, teach teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, their children, to be discreet, chasters, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husband, that the word of God be not blasphemed, and likewise that men will be sober and young minded. And what it's saying is that, hey, God has given us older individuals. God has given us mothers, fathers. God has given us individuals who have wisdom and experience to ensure that they're able to give sound information so that we can have a better life. And what I really loved about this section here was that not only did she see an opportunity, she evaluated his character, seeing that he would be a good fit for her daughter, and then give her daughter a strategy in which she can have a favorable outcome, which is what
Mm-hmm.
many would want, which is to have a husband and to have some children,
Right.
right?
Right.
And it reminded me, there are many times where I've seen where a mom seen the character of a person and say, hey, that character's no good, or
Right.
hey, that guy, he's
Oh,
a good
I like
one.
that. I like that man for you. I like
Yeah,
that
a
man for
hundred percent.
my
And
daughter. I like that man for my son. What for my but you know what I'm saying.
a
Yeah.
hundred percent. And
Yeah.
and and the son or the daughter be like, nah, I don't know, ma. I tell you the truth. I remember, like, for example, even with Anne Marie, like, our activities and how we lived life was different in regards to extracurricular activities, right? So in the beginning, I never thought about her particularly as a candidate, and for Anne Marie, I know that I wasn't a particular first thought for a candidate for her, but it was actually her mom. Her
At
mom
first,
was like, you know what?
He's a good guy.
Yeah, man. And then when she said that, she's like, one thing she always respected was she always respected what her mom said, and she know that all kids know that their parents love them, right? But she was like, I value what mom said, and she started to give it some thought, and she started to look, and then we started interacting and hanging out and things of that sort
Start,
because we
he started checking you out
a
and
hundred percent.
what your movements and your actions were like.
100%, right?
Yeah.
And Mama Brown, she has and many, and it's not just Mama Brown. Many older women have been through enough experience and have enough to be able to see personalities and know which would be a good
Yeah.
fit for their child that
Yeah,
they've
it's that maternal instinct or
a
that
hundred
that
percent,
older instinct,
a hundred percent.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I went to that Titus. I wasn't trying to put us off course, but it was like, listen, God has given us older individuals to help us peep game, to help us
Yeah.
relay game to the younger individuals. And what I loved about it was that Ruth, it said that, she took it up and she obeyed. She didn't fight her mom. She loved her mom. She trusted her mom, even when her mom was going through her moments, right? She trusted her mom and she listened to her mom. She washed her booty, right? She put on that oil, make sure her elbows and her knees was on
Mhm.
point. She's smelling good. I mean, she took the best that she had, and she caught him in the night, right? Did we read this? And it shall be when he lieth down, thou shalt, marketplace. So we read that already. And she said unto her, all that you saith unto me, I will do. Right? And I love
Yeah,
the fact, yeah, man, you take the listening of our parents, and I mean, y'all won't feel us most of the time. 99.9% of the times. You know what I mean? Y'all ain't perfect. Y'all ain't perfect, but y'all be just peep it. I mean, but on a serious note, she goes down and she went and lied down onto the floor and did according to all that her mother-in-law bade her. Right? She didn't miss no steps. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, right? Mama knew. When you get that food in you, that be you having a good time. You're being merry. Remember, this is the end of the harvest, right? It was a harvest celebration that was going on. This is a jolly time. She caught him at the right time. She smelled good. She looked good. She was humble. She made sure that the timing was right. Like Mama had it played down to the T. He went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn, and she came softly and
humbly.
uncovered his feet and laid down to her. What you about to say, Auntie?
No, I said yeah. She came like humble. She came
Yeah,
humble.
man. Yeah, man. She came not discreet, not proudful, none of that. She came humble, softly, uncovered his feet, and laid down. And it came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid and turned himself. He like, who I mean, because it's nighttime. It's not like how we got city lights and all that other stuff. You understand what I'm saying? It's nighttime. Harvest is over. He there trying to get asleep. He thinking somebody trying to come up on him, or some animal or something's trying to come up on him. And he turned himself, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. And he said, who art thou? And she answered, I am Ruth, thy handmaid. Spread therefore thy skirt over thy handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman. And he said, blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughter. So, and that my daughter is like that word of compassion, right? It also shows that he may be a little bit older, but my daughter's like, yo, I'm taking you under my bosom. I'm like how would be like, oh, um, me and Jason, like that's my brother. You know what I mean? Like that, like he's claiming her as kin. He said, blessed be the Lord, my daughter, for thou hast shown more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
insomuch as thou followest not younger men, whether rich whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, fear not. I will do to thee all that thou request. For all the city of my people doth know that thou art a virtuous woman. And I was like, yo, that's fire right there. So he's saying that he was impressed on two folds. One, which shows that Boaz is kind of older, maybe not maybe not the most handsomest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
but he was moved that not only that she was compassionate, he was moved at how she approached. She's young, and it shows that she has the capability of, in his mind, of getting
Being
somebody younger
and
who
being
is
a good
either
woman.
rich or poor, which kind of shows, you know what I mean, she's not a bad looking person. And then he loved the way that he approached. Not in the middle of the ceremony, not proudful, but she's discreet, she's humble, she's coming in a low of low. Even when they had the conversation from before, she was so impressed and asked why. She bowed down, like giving respect to him that he's considering being so generous to her, and even asks why. And then on top of that, he says, so he loves her immunity, he loves the way she moves. And then he also says, for all the city of my people know that thou art a virtuous woman. He's saying, hey, I seen your works, right? Not even me, because they the one that told me. They seen you early in the morning to the late at night working.
Working. Yeah.
They see you being humble, not boastful, not prideful. They're seeing that you are willing to tarry afar off from the people, right? There's no way Boaz is going to tell her, you can go where my maidens are, if she wasn't already there. He would say, stay where my maidens are. You understand what I'm saying? And then on top
Right.
of that, he's saying, hey, you can even go where my servants are. And in James chapter 4, it says, never rush to sit at the head of the table, for you may be embarrassed. Right?
Mm.
It's better for you to sit at the lowest part of the table where you would have the opportunity from the host to sit at a better table. And what God is saying is always want to move it in an aspect of humility, right? Because when you move humble, you have the opportunity of being rewarded, whereas a prideful person can get torn down. So he's seeing this, and it's not even like, oh, I seen that you were virtuous. It's like, yo, it's well known. This young lady, she different. This young lady, she put in that work. This young lady, she's full of love. This young lady, she's kind, she's modest, and she's humble. And he's now seeing her come before him, and he's like, yo, you could have had your pick of the pick. Now, when you see it like that, what you think he gonna say? I'm with that movement. Let's go ahead. I mean, he got sense.
Mm.
He's smart. He know what he's doing, right? And now it is true that I am thy near kinsman. So he knew it, right? Maybe he didn't relate it to her. I mean, maybe he felt, as you can hear off of his statement, that she could have had somebody young who was either poor or rich. Meaning he felt that she had the ability to pick of the litter,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew that she was related because he knew who Naomi was, but he didn't give it any thought. So he's really moved and he's really impressed. So he's telling, yes, I am your kinsman, but there is a kinsman that's closer than me.
Okay.
Tarry this night, meaning stay here this night, and it shall be in the morning that if he will perform unto thee the part of a kinsman, well, let him do the kinsman part. But if he will not do the part of a kinsman to thee, then I will do the part of a kinsman to thee, as the Lord liveth. Lie down until the morning. And that's what I was talking about from before, earlier, where, if you died, if the husband died, or if the big brother died, then it would be the next person in line that's responsible for taking care of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He can be able to take care of the assets that the dead person left behind, but he also has to take care of the responsibility. So if there was a wife, he would have to take care of the wife. If there's a mom, he has to take care of the mom, because it was the duty for the man to be able to provide and take care of his family and whatever his family had left behind. Right? So he let him know, hey, listen, it's the law, it's customs. I mean, if the other person does it, it's going to be what it is. But if he doesn't, I'll take it up. So now he knows he has a dilemma. Let's see how he peep it. So it shows that, once again, and him being a stand-up person, once again showing his character, he did it the right way. But even in that uncomfortable situation, he told her to lay here, meaning he enjoys her company, but there is a standard that he has to practice. So she lay at his feet until morning, and she rose up before one could know another. Meaning she rose up before anybody else know what's going on, what happened, what took place. And she said, let it be not let it not be known that a woman came
Into
into
the
the
floor.
floor, right? And remember, he said this, right? And we'll uncover that. I don't want to ruin it. We're gonna read it together. And also, he said, "Bring the veil that thou hast upon thee, and hold it." And when she held it, he measured 6 measures of barley and laid it on her, and she went into the city. So he made sure that even when she was leaving, he took care of her.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
that great character, that's a bar right there. That's a note. That's a note for all of us guys, right? And when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, "Who art thou, my daughter?" Oh yeah, "Who art thou, my daughter?" And she told her that the man. She told her all that the man had done to her. I guess she was hoping that her last name be changed. Who art thou? No, 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 no. He
Right.
was
Right.
good. We ain't there yet. We
Not
ain't there
yet.
yet, mom. Know
Right.
what I
Not
mean,
yet.
pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. Know what I mean, and she said, "These 6 measures of barley gave he me, for he said to me, go not empty onto thy mother-in-law." So you see, he's looking after
Right.
her, but also after his
Yeah.
mom. After
Yeah.
yeah,
Her
right?
mother.
Great character. Great character. This dude is stand up guy. Then he said, "She sit." Then said she, "Sit still, my daughter, until thou know how the matter will fall. For the man will not be in rest until he have finished the things this day." So he's like, all right, girl, you told me. Sit, don't be nervous. Sit still, relax. You know what I mean, calm down, don't worry, right? Because trust me, he going based on what I'm hearing you tell me, he gonna make sure this matter is resolved today. You know what I mean? So we move forward, right? It circle back to 3. Yeah. So let's go to 4. Let's go to 4. So we're at 4. How we doing so far?
Good.
All right, cool. All right. So let me get. All right, 4 is loaded. Let me hit on floor. So remember what he told her. He told her, "Hey, listen, get up early." All right. They left so that nobody can see. Nobody saw her coming in the night. Nobody saw her in the morning.
Right.
Before he left, he made sure he took care of her because he wanted to make sure that mama was straight. Now I mean, cool character. And now he goes and handles his biz, and we get another reason, or we'll see why he didn't want anybody to see. Then went Boaz up to the gate and sat him down there. And behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz spake came by, unto whom he said, "Ho, such a one, turn aside, sit down here." And he turned aside and sat down. And he took 10 men of elders of the city and said, "Sit down here." And they sat down, right? So they're about to, he sees his kinsman, a cousin, right? Because remember, we understand the process. He's like, "Hey, there's somebody closer than me. We are kin, but somebody closer than me that would have first passage and first right first." So now he goes to the place. He finds them. He tells them to sit down, and now he's getting elders. Right before anything can be done, it's custom that you have elders sit before, so that there's no misconstruing of whatever deal, conversation, or arrangement takes place. Right.
Mm.
So he's like, "Hey, all right, let's talk. But hold on, before we do that, let's get some elders so we have some witnesses, so that, hey, if in the future you get misconstrued about something, we gonna call for these people to come back here and recount
Right.
the day as it was." All right, so we're together. Sit down here. And they sat down, right? And he said unto his kinsman, "Naomi, that is come out of the country of Moab, selleth a parcel of land which was our brother Elimelech." Right? And I thought to advertise, or to let you know, that's what advertise mean,
Right.
to advertise these, saying, "Buy it before the inhabitants, before the elders of my people. If thou wilt redeem it, redeem it. But if thou wilt not redeem it, then tell me, that I may know, for there is none to redeem it besides thee, and I am after thee." And he said, "I will redeem it." Right? So just just to pause real quick. So we see here that Naomi also made a sacrifice herself, right? Because for her to have the opportunity to the way the mom set it up is for her to have the opportunity to to marry Ruth, she's selling of the property. That was her strategy, right? So she told him to lay at his feet. She Boaz understood that, hey, this is not only a marriage thing, but because Ruth have nothing, she's offering her land
The land.
to him, and then by offering the land to him, he also gets her as a wife, but also Naomi as a mother. And then he now goes back and let Ruth know that she's good, looking after the mom, letting her know that she's good by giving her a simple gesture of, hey, listen, I'm giving you the harvest and I'm in agreement. I see where you're coming from and I'm in agreement with it. And I will make sure that I'm taking care of you. Right? Because some people may do it for the property aspect, but not really care about the people or the person. He may treat it like a particular responsibility. Now, I'll do it now. Now, he tells Ruth to leave early in the morning so that nobody sees it and not to tell anybody. Because if somebody sees it and if Ruth tells anybody and it gets out, then him coming to his cousin, he may know that he's interested in it, and he may do two things. He may see that there's an asset here and go for it, and he won't be able to have her, right? Or he may try to negotiate for something that may be higher. Hey, you can redeem it, but if you're gonna redeem it, I'm gonna take it, but then I'll sell it to you for a higher rate. So what he's saying is, hey, no, instead of having it be sabotage of what's going on, let me quickly go grab some elders, have this conversation that you're not too keen on. He may not be aware of how how Ruth is or Naomi's doing. So peep how he presents this. Next verse. Then said Boaz, because right, he said because we understand that he said, I will redeem it. Right?
Right. So, but Boaz asked the elders,
Mm-hmm.
right? Asked the elders. He let them know what it was, and
Yeah.
if nobody wants it,
He'll take it.
he'll take it. He'll redeem it himself.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then the man is saying, hey, I'll redeem it. Right? Then said Boaz, what day thou buyest the field of the hand of Naomi, thou must buy also of Ruth. And then he indicates her as a Moabitess.
Right.
The
So
wife.
Ruth is the package deal. Ruth is the package deal along with Naomi. And then,
Correct.
right.
Correct. Right? And he's presenting a Moabitess, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. And the kinsman says, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I mar my own inheritance.
What he mean by that, Nick?
Yeah, so he remember from my understanding of the scripture, remember how they viewed the Moabs, right? This historical tension that's between the two of them. That's one, and he feels that, oh, now if I get this land, I'm getting this Moabitess person, but then on top of that, I'm now getting me a wife and a mama. I ain't with all that right now. You know what I mean? I ain't with the extra baggage that's gonna come with this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So he's like, nah, I'll pass, right? Because remember, he's going to a kin, and the kin has to be responsible. It's not only being able to inherit the land, but also to take care of it. So it's not only about, hey, I'm getting property, but I'm also coming with additional responsibility. And then
Right,
I'm
but he
hearing that
don't
this,
want that. He just want the land. He just want the inheritance. He
yeah,
don't want.
man,
Okay, I got
he
you.
in it for
Right,
the wrong reasons. And
right.
then this person is a Moabitess. I don't know if I'm with all that, right? So lest I mar my own inheritance, redeem thou my right to thyself, for I cannot redeem it. Right? He wants that freedom. Right? He doesn't
Exactly.
want the additional baggage, the additional
Mm-hmm.
responsibility. Right? I'm not even going to put the Moabitess thing out there. I'm going to say at least he don't want the additional baggage. Now this was the manner in foretime in Israel concerning redeeming and concerning changing for to confirm all things. A man plucked off or took off his shoe, gave it to his neighbor, and this was a testimony in Israel, right? So he's that responsibility. He's pulling off his shoes. He's offering up to let Israel know, hey, I'm offering that. I'm offering that to you, and everybody is a witness. So it's like they went into a contractual agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, the kinsman said unto Boaz, "Buy it for thee." So he drew off his shoe, and Boaz said unto the elders, unto all the people, "Ye are witnesses this day
Mm-hmm.
that I have brought all that was Elimelech's and all that was Shalion's," which was the name of the son, right?
Right.
Because the
That's
dad,
the
you
right.
are correct. So he's like, all that was inherited to them is
Right.
in the hand and of the hand of Naomi, because that rite of passage did go to the mom. Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead, meaning in honor of the dead person that passed,
Uh-huh.
upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead, meaning that now that his lineage be not cut off from among his family. And from the gate of his place ye are witness this day. Right? And all the people that were in the gate and the elders said, "We are witness. The Lord make the woman that cometh into thine house like Rachel and Leah." And Rachel and Leah were wife of Jacob, in which we now have the children of Israel and the region of Israel. I remember we did the 12 tribes before, and the 12 tribes before the tribe split into two and went into the sea. So he's saying, may your family and your property and may you pretty much be blessed. May everything increase. Family, size, everything. May God find favor in your choice of taking up this family and taking up this responsibility in
Mm-hmm.
honor of your family that has passed, right? In the house of Israel, and do thou worthily in Ephratah, and be famous in Bethlehem, right? Which is the town. Bethlehem means city of bread and house of bread. And let thy house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamariah bare unto Judah of the seed. This is all accolations, which the Lord shall give thee of this young man. It's like they giving toast at a wedding, right? So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife, which was the overall agenda from the beginning. Right, mom saw him, saw character, saw deeds, knew that he was a trustworthy individual, not only to her but of her estate. Knew that he had good character. He shown it before by showing favor. He even showed it even when he sent her back. And he made sure that it was done discreetly so that nothing can be messed up. Sometimes we gotta keep our mouth shut. You know what I mean? We do certain things. We keep it on the low until it's ready to be known for everybody else.
Know what you do until after it's done.
100%. You know how it go, Auntie. You know how it go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Boaz took Ruth, and she was wife. And when he went into her, right, knocked some boots, the Lord gave her conception, and she bare a son. And the woman said unto Naomi, which is the mom, which is the grandma or mom in this case, Ruth mom, I guess Ruth and Boaz mom, "Blessed be the Lord, which had not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel." So she's saying, hey, he's restoring back that blessing onto
That
you
name
and
is
your
famous.
household. Yeah, man, for real, for real. Right? And now we're reading how we started. "And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and a nourisher of thine own age. For thy daughter in law, which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons,
Right.
hath borne him." And Naomi took the child and put that, you know how y'all do, put that baby in y'all bosom, put him on my
Mm-hmm.
chest, put him right here, baby, put him right here, and laid it on her bosom, and became nurse to it. Right? She reared that little one like it was her own. And the woman, her neighbors gave it the name, saying, "There is a son born to Naomi." You realize she ain't calling herself Mar no more.
Naomi, yes.
Yeah, she claiming Naomi now. And they called his name Obed.
Ed.
He is
Okay.
the father of Jesse. Jesse is the father of David, which becomes the king of Israel. Now, these are the generation. Remember, I told you so that people understand that it's not fictional. They'll always give you a genealogical timeline so that they can see who these people relate, so that you
Who
can do
belong to?
research. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
man. So these are the generation of Pharez. Pharez begat Hezron. Hezron begat Ram. Ram begat
Yeah,
Aminadab.
that sounds confusing to me. Like, who's the mother of this one and that one?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. So yeah. So all they're doing is just giving you the genealogy, and they're giving you the genealogy of Boaz, right? So remember, we know that for Naomi's sake, is being restored from Ephad, right, her husband. But
initially,
they just want you to know from the genealogy of Boaz how it's also seen and read. So Aminadab gave Nahshon. Nahshon begat Salmon. Salmon begat Boaz. Boaz begat Obed.
right? Yep.
Obed begat Jesse. Jesse begat David.
Okay.
Right? And then it
So
goes.
Obed became a grandfather himself.
Correct,
Uh,
correct, correct, correct,
right,
correct,
right.
correct, correct. And that's all that it is showing, and that's how it ends. It actually ends here with sorry. It actually ends with uh and Jesse begat David. And then from here we go into the lineage and how David becomes a king. Right?
Mm.
How did you enjoy? Huh?
I said King David.
Yeah, King David. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
King David, the story of King David goes into Samuel. But like I said, rereading Ruth and understanding his history made me realize that in movies they'll show David looking like he's a poor little boy. I mean, coming from meager, but we understand now that David came from a family who were not royalty, but they weren't poor and meager persons. We also understand that David had a character that really loved the Lord, because we see that it was something that was bestowed upon his grandfather. It was bestowed upon his dad, which was bestowed upon his father. And we seen the character of his father, and his grandmother Ruth, right? And the work ethics that David was brought up into, and the favor that he was brought up onto, the relationship these people had with God, and their commitment to doing what is right, all shows up. So when I start to read this, I start to have a better understanding of the mindset that David was brought up into, and in the fact that David's not chilling in the house but actually tending to sheep, showed that they instilled that character of having a great work ethics,
Mm-hmm.
of having that virtuousness that their family grew up having. And it helped me to have a better understanding of who this king was before he became king, and before we see these things like him killing a giant and all this other stuff. And it shows and reminds us that, hey, as we're doing what we're doing now, even if we've made mistakes, right, we still have the ability to shape characters that shapes down to the third and fourth generation, and that our actions and what we do, and that the changes we make now, the sacrifice we make now, has a ripple effect, as a rock being thrown into water has a ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.